Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and travel back. Travel back to a night in your childhood. Perhaps you are 7 years old, perhaps 8. The house is dark, and outside, a summer storm has rolled in. The thunder speaks. The lightning writes its name across the sky in white fire. And there, in the corner of the room, in the shadows between the dresser and the closet door, something moves. Or does it? You lie still. You dare not breathe. Your small heart, that faithful engine that has never once asked permission to keep beating, now hammers against your ribs. Like a prisoner demanding release. And the shadow, that shapeless, nameless, terrible thing, it grows. And the shadow, that shapeless, nameless, terrible thing, it grows. Now, I want you to open your eyes, because here is what I must tell you with all the gentleness I possess and all the clarity I can summon. That child is still in the room. That child never left. He is sitting with you right now, in your living room, in your study, in the quiet hours of 3 in the morning. When the old fears come calling like unwanted guests who have somehow kept a copy of your key, only the shadows have changed their names. They are no longer the shadow between the dresser and the closet door. They have grown up along with you. They now carry the names of things that grown men and women are supposed to face with calm, and yet, in the small hours, they terrify us just the same. They go by the names of illness, of loneliness, of financial ruin, of the slow creeping suspicion that the years behind us were more precious than we knew. These are the shadows of our adult night, and we give them, I am here to tell you, every ounce of power they possess. Now, let me speak plainly. Let me speak to you the way a trusted friend might speak, not to flatter you, not to coddle you, but to tell you the truth that sets a man or woman free. Fear is not your enemy. I know that may surprise you, but stay with me, because this is the very foundation of everything I wish to share with you this evening. Fear is not your enemy, because fear, in its deepest nature, it's not a foreign invader. It is not something that crept in through your window on a dark night. Fear is you. It is the magnificent, God-given creative faculty of your own imagination, turned, inverted. Think of it this way. You have, at the center of your being, a faculty so powerful that the great teachers of every age have marveled at it. Call it imagination. Call it consciousness. Whatever name you give it, this is the instrument through which every great achievement of your life has been built. When you employ this faculty in the direction of your desire, you are practicing true faith, living faith. But when? Through habit, through worry, through the counsel of a world that profits from your anxiety, you turn that same magnificent instrument in the opposite direction, then you call it fear. Fear is not the absence of faith. Fear is faith misapplied, misdirected, turned against its own master. It is the architect of your home, accidentally drawing the blueprints for its collapse. There is a story of a man who, late in his working years, begins to worry about money. It begins as a small and seemingly reasonable concern. A dip in the market, a medical bill, a conversation overheard about inflation and the precarious state of things in general. He lies awake at night and he thinks. And the thinking leads to more thinking. In the small hours, his mind, that brilliant, tireless, absolutely obedient instrument of creation, begins to construct a picture. It constructs it with the precision of a master craftsman. The empty bank account, the phone calls he cannot afford to return, the quiet humiliation of dependence. He sees it, he feels it, he rehearses it, night after night after night. And then he calls what he is doing is worry. He calls it planning. He calls it being realistic. He calls it everything in the world except what it actually is. It is a prophecy. It is a prophecy that he himself has commissioned. He is financing this vision with the most valuable currency in the universe, the currency of his sustained, emotionalized, unquote, believing attention, and the universe, which is nothing if not faithful, will, in time, deliver to him precisely what he has so carefully, so devotedly ordered. Now, here is where I must ask you to sit with an idea that is at first uncomfortable and then becomes the most liberating truth you have ever encountered. The great Neville put it this way. He said, with his characteristic quiet authority, there is no one to change but self. Not the doctor, not the senator, not the stock market, or the economy, not even the son-in-law who never calls. Self. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking. That is very well for a philosopher to say, but my fear is not imaginary. My doctor gave me a diagnosis. The bills are real. The years I have lost are genuinely gone. And I hear you. I honor that. Every word of it is true. But here is the distinction I must make with surgical precision. The facts of your situation are one thing. The story you tell about those facts, the picture you paint of what those facts must inevitably become, that is another thing entirely. A diagnosis is a fact. The conviction that recovery is impossible, that is a choice. And if it is a choice, then it can be changed. And if it can be changed, then you are not a prisoner. You are the sovereign of your own inner world. We must reconsider our relationship with time. In our modern world, we are taught that time is a predator, a linear arrow that only moves away from us, stealing our youth and our opportunities. But Neville invited us to see time as vertical. Imagine a grand hotel. Every room in that hotel already exists. The room of your health, the room of your abundance, and yes, the room of your current fears. You do not build the room, you simply provide the key of your attention to enter it. When you realize that the version of you that is already secure and at peace exists right now, the pressure of waiting disappears. You are not waiting for a future. You are adjusting your inner compass to a different room in the present. This realization is the death of anxiety. It is the moment you stop running and start dwelling. Let me tell you of Henry. At 75, Henry felt that his window for contribution had closed. He had a lifelong passion for history and writing, but the storm of daily survival and the fear of being irrelevant had buried that desire for decades. He lived in the state of, "It is too late." After hearing these truths, Henry began a simple revision. Every night, instead of reviewing his regrets, he felt the weight of a finished book in his hands. He didn't focus on how to publish it. He focused on the texture of the cover and the feeling of accomplishment. He occupied the state of an author. The Bridge of Incident appeared when a local library asked for a volunteer to catalog old records. That small door led to an interview, which led to a column in a regional paper. Today, Henry is not just an author. He is a man who proved that the creative power within does not recognize the date on a birth certificate. He killed his fear of irrelevance by simply refusing to give it an audience. Many of you ask, how long must I wait? When will the shadow change? Think of the bamboo tree. For years, it shows nothing above the ground. You water it, you tend to it, and the world looks at your empty patch of dirt and laughs. They call you a dreamer. But beneath the soil, a massive, complex root system is being built. Then, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up 90 feet into the air. Was it a miracle? No. It was the law of growth. Your imaginal acts are those roots. Every time you occupy the state of security, you are building the invisible structure that will support your visible harvest. Do not dig up the seed every morning to see if it has sprouted. Trust the darkness of the soil. Trust the silence. Your only job is to remain the gardener who knows that the harvest is a settled fact. Every thought you think about the subject of your fear is a meal served to that fear. Every conversation in which you rehearse your anxiety, catalog your symptoms, or project your worst possibilities is a dinner delivered by your own hands to the very thing you wish to destroy. I am not suggesting the foolishness of denial. I am not telling you to simply think positively. That is an insult to your intelligence. What I am offering you is the discipline of a scientist who decides what to study. A scientist in his laboratory chooses which experiment receives his focused attention. He does not say the other experiments do not exist. He simply says, this one is not what I am here to advance. And he turns his back on it. This is the mental diet. In every ordinary moment, you have a choice. Not the choice of whether the shadow exists, but the choice of whether you will look at it. The people who age with grace and dignity are not people who never had shadows. They are people who mastered the direction of their own attention. They learned to withdraw their investment from the pictures they did not wish to develop. His name was Arthur. He had spent 40 years of his life as a cabinet maker. At 71, he was a man with the hands of a craftsman, broad and capable. He had retired with what he believed was sufficiency, and then the investments were largely gone. Arthur began to fight. He fought the fear with research, spending hours in the blue light of midnight reading about bankruptcy. He fought it with self-blame, reviewing every financial decision of the previous decade, and the fear grew stronger. One evening, Arthur sat in the chair by the window and said, "I am done fighting." He did not know about Neville Goddard then. He simply had the exhaustion of a man who had tried the only approach he knew. He began to imagine being provided for. He imagined the feeling of a Tuesday morning in which the finances were simply not a crisis. He assumed the interior ease of a man for whom today was enough. 3 weeks later, he received a telephone call. A cousin he had not spoken to in years mentioned a family trust. A piece of land had become valuable. Its sale provided Arthur with a margin to breathe. The phone call came after Arthur stopped organizing his consciousness around catastrophe. He created the space that provision could inhabit. You are the operant power. The law delivers the contents of your most deeply held inner state. Clara was 63 years old, a retired schoolteacher and a grandmother. On a Tuesday afternoon, her doctor used a phrase in reference to her scan that Clara was not prepared to hear. The moment when the white coat across the desk says something and the world rearranges itself. Clara sat with a cold weight of fear for 2 days. Then she found the practice of revision, the art of taking a memory that has imprinted itself upon the mind and deliberately rewriting it. Clara took the memory of the doctor's office. In the state akin to sleep, she ran the memory again, but this time she changed her response. She heard the doctor speaking, and instead of dread, she manufactured a deep, unhurried breath. On the exhale, she felt 2 words move through her: "Thank you." Not as a performance, but as a recognition that her body is intelligent and that life is on her side. She revised it every night. Within 2 weeks, the stone in her chest had dissolved. In its place was a quiet readiness. She faced whatever came with steady dignity. Her subsequent results were more encouraging than the first report had suggested. The body listens. It always has. And so we arrive at the end of our evening together. I want to close with a blessing for a fellow traveler. You are not old. You are seasoned. You are not diminished. You are refined. The fears you have carried are not evidence of weakness. They are evidence of a heart that has cared deeply. Honor that, and then gently release it. There is no one to change but self. This is the most extraordinary freedom ever offered to a human being. It means that the kingdom is available for renovation. From the inside, by you, tonight. The storm outside the window is real, but you are inside the house, and the fire is yours to tend. Let us go into the silence now, not the silence of absence, but the silence of presence. The inhabited silence of a consciousness that has finally come home to itself. In that silence, hold the feeling, just the feeling. That is everything. That is, and has always been, enough. Come, let us go into the silence.